So, for those who just arrived, as I always say, I'm Simone from Fibermaq, the international trade show of advanced materials. When we talk about advanced materials, composites, polyurethane, engineering, plastics, thermoplastics, nanomaterials like graphene, hybrid material, and elastomers, which is the focus of our work. So the trade show in the 13th edition will be from 15 to 17 August this year. I'm sorry, 25 to 27 this year. And you are all invited. We will send you more information, more communications about the trade show. In the first quarter, we will have a series of online events. Today we have Africa, and soon we will have May, April 8th, we will have Latin America, which is market perspective. We are bringing 6 associations, a very important market. So these associations provide market information. Although problems do exist, there is always a possibility of growth and new opportunities. That's what we want to provide you with. So, April 8th, we will have Latin America, and in the morning, we will have the panel Market Perspectives with 6 associations. We are already sending invitations, so you take part. This will also be an online event, a webinar. Today, we already had Alan Harper, More Química, Amino, Wanhua, Braga Consultoria, and now we will have Fibermaq. I would like to ask to put Christian. Hi, Christian. I cannot hear you. I think you have to open your microphone. What about it now? Yes. I believe we have a feedback. It's a pleasure to have Christian from Fibermaq, a pioneer company in developing machines for composites, and the development fitting or matching the market needs. I was talking to Valdomiro Moreira, 28 years in the composite market. And I'm always following Fibermaq, developing machinery to respond to the current needs of the market, which is also the reason for bringing Christian to this event, because we are saying from the beginning, each talk was made to show the market a little bit of, for the African market, what will we have in the trade show as solutions. So Alan Harper talked about mid-size volume processes. Valdomiro also mentioned the experience in the market. Then Rodrigo Braga gave this global overview of what Latin America offers that can be used in Africa. And then we had Amino and Wanhua polyurethanes sharing their advance in the African market. So nothing better than someone that is already there to know what is working or not. And your talk is extremely important, so we can see the options we have in terms of equipment. All the information, all the machines will be there at Fibermaq in your booth, but now Christian will give us a taste of the novelties in the area. Simone, thank you very much for this invitation. I will be honest. My company has just a few equipment sold in Africa. But we know there are many opportunities. Yes, this is our goal. Be in the African market is not easy. The structure of the company is different from what we are used to, and we are learning. That's why we also need your support to learn how to get there in this manufacturing industry. You can share your presentation and start. Just a second, please. Let me find here.
Share, compartilhar, alguma coisa tem aí.
Não, tem, tá aqui. A idade está batendo.
I'm getting old.
Chama os filhos, né?
You have to call my children to help me.
Tô quase nesse ponto aí, viu?
Yeah, I'm almost there.
Christian, boa apresentação.
So, thank you, Simone.
Pessoal, boa tarde.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Bom dia para quem está no Brasil.
For those in Africa, good morning in Brazil. I'm Christian from
Fibermaq.
Fibermaq. As Simone said, we produce equipment for fiberglass. We are a family-owned company, was founded by my father in 1978. We have almost 50 years, and it's been some years I'm leading the company. We have some little experience in the African market, but very limited. Some equipment in Algeria and some in South Africa. The rest of the continent is very... we never really had any specific work for the continent as a whole. But we would like to show the equipment we produce. I'm sorry, sometimes I have to look aside here because I have a second screen, but I will try to be looking at you all the time. Exceeding expectations. I'm sorry, it skipped the last slide. Okay, as I said, we were founded in 1978. And we also manufacture equipment for polyurethane, for spray or injected or pre-molded. We are present, I believe, in all the continents: Europe, Africa, Pacific. And well, I would like to introduce our new line of equipment for the application of F1, for gel coat, spray up, and RTM. So, what is our differential? We are fit to Brazilian market. We know that labor sometimes is hard to find. Company structure sometimes are not the best, and our objective is producing a simple and functional equipment of easy maintenance, so you don't need anything special or any skilled labor for maintenance. We simplify as much as possible, avoiding any complication, because we know that sometimes companies produce guns and bombs, complicated, and then we get to the plant and it is stuck there due to a lack of labor.
Vamos lá.
So,
Essa aqui é uma pistola gel coat. Essa aqui é a máquina.
this is our gel coat gun.
Isso é muito legal.
It is within a box, which is very nice. You don't have any mobile part exposed. So you cannot put the hand on a pump that is working and have your finger stuck there and get hurt. And the equipment there is protected. We know that spray up and gel coaters, they create a mist. And with a protected equipment, you protect the fundamental parts of the machine. They are not accessible. There's no accumulation of dirty. It is enclosed, but with easy visualization, easy control. It is an equipment that is robust and simple. Some advantages of this line, as you can see, it's very small, very simple, not many parts, which is our objective. Another line is Evolution, is similar, a little older, more traditional in Brazil. This may be the most common equipment in Brazil. And as we have a leadership of many years already, almost 5 decades, gel coater, laminator, and RTM. Here's some characteristics of the machine. This material is also available in English and Spanish. If you need, just ask and we can send you this manual. This is a very interesting product. It's something new. Actually, we launched it at last February. This is a gel coater. Let me show you a video. But it is a compact size. See the footprint. It's just 43 kilograms, and it can be taken in any car. In a smaller trunk of the smallest car, it fits. It's electric and mono. So it works at 220 of any company or even a domestic use. It's almost domestic use equipment. Then here we assemble the tanks or the tank support for the gel coat. This is the pump. Here we are adjusting the percentage we want, 1.5, 2, 3, 3.5. Here I'm connecting the hose, which is the one that will lead the gel to the vessel. It's a fast connection. So very compact equipment, easy to take anywhere, easy to use. With just a wrench, it is enough to assemble and disassemble. Well, not for using it, not for maintenance, but with a simple wrench, you can do everything.
And here we see the operation. The pump is electrical, but we need to have compressed air in the gun. So there is a compressor that is fully integrated, so you have the outputs for connections here. You may connect other items on the machine as well. So the Mac pump is working as well, and that's quite a professional work. We are talking about a small-sized machine, but results are quite professional, as you can see. High standards results. That's the gel coat painting. I mean, we should have soon a laminator that is going to follow the same design. Not ready yet, but it should be ready until late this year. Very nice result, right? So we have the gel reservoir, the catalyst reservoir, and then we do the work. We produce the piece, atom, that's the new equipment. 220 voltage, but it can be 110, okay? So that's a person whose height is 1.8. We have the measurements here. It's a quite compact device, as you can see. That's a whole different line that we provide. That's the filament winding solution. In this case, we use it for tanks. They can be up to 15-meter tanks. Could be even bigger. It's because of transportation. We cannot produce anything bigger than 15 meters because then transportation may be a hindrance, you know. Diameter. Small diameters, 1, 2 inches to 4, 5, 6 meters in diameter. So I took some examples of large pieces to show to you here in this presentation. So that's the tank machine. Now it's the tube machine, the pipeline machine. From 2 to 3 inches, the standard machine goes up to 600 millimeters in diameter, okay? So you will not manage to work 50 millimeters, 4-meter length, because then you're going to lose efficiency, so we don't do that. So that's the pipeline machine. Just like Rodrigo was telling us. Yeah, we have the poles that are made of fiberglass. There are many advantages, and he was telling us about all of this. Rodrigo was telling us about all of this. How light they are, their service life, there are many advantages. Well, we go up until 15 meters in length, more or less, because even if we can produce longer than that, there is no transportation. 50 to 600 millimeters in diameter. If you need, greater diameters, we can find a solution for you as well. We work with 1 mandrel or 2. One mandrel. Another one here working with 2 mandrels at the same time for 2 poles at the same time, okay? If you have a double machine, production increases by 70% when we compare to a single lane machine. Well, you can do 2 at the same time, but when you have, 2 chucks, you have the downtime, you unload and reload the machine, and time that is taken is longer for the chuck, the mandrel that is the chuck. So if I use 50 threads per chuck, I work with 2 chucks. So there might be a rupture of a thread. It's twice as higher when we compare to a single chuck. And if there is a rupture in a thread, in a filament, we have to stop both lanes of the machine. So that's why we say the increased throughput is by 70%. Well, the pole manufacturing process is a continuous process. It's not just winding. First, you do the winding, you use the steel chuck, and then you remove the piece from the equipment, and then it stays in the curing station up until we cure to release the part, because it's wet when you finish producing. The resin is wet. So we wait 30 to 40 minutes for curing, and then we release the piece. We release the piece from the chuck, and then you have the drillings that have to be made, the caps, and everything else that has to be added. So, when you work with a single chuck, a single lane, we recommend actually having 5 different chucks, because you follow a process. You are producing 1 piece, there are 2 pieces in the curing station, another piece that you are releasing from the mold, and then you are preparing a 5th one. So it's a continuous process. You never stop. You go from one stage to another. If you work with 2 chucks, perhaps it's not enough. and you need a higher number of queuing stations. So at least 8. That's what we recommend, having 8 chucks. Well, we recommend 5 chucks if you want to have a single production lane, and 8 to 10 chucks if you want to increase your production by 70%. So then you have 2 lanes, 2 production lines, okay? Well, it depends on what you prefer. There are people who prefer working with a single chuck, people who want to work with the 2 chucks. It depends on the processing speed of your company. They're both valid. I mean, single line or double line. That's the panel. I showed the image to you. Super easy to visualize the dashboard and see what's happening. I'm going to zoom in here. It's very much graphical and visual. As the machine moves, you see the movements. Data in yellow, that's the recipe, the preset data for the production batch. So you go there, you introduce the data for the batch, let's say 5% deflection rate, and then you provide all of the measurements and the allowable deformation, and then you generate the steps of the process, and then the system will execute all of the steps that you have programmed into the dashboard. It's quite simple. We want to avoid human error. Something that is quite interesting, and Rodrigo was talking about automation. Yeah, we have the scales. And the scales are connected to the CNP. So whenever a pole is being produced, there is a report that is issued. You know, start time, end time, operator in charge, percentage of fiber, percentage of resin, and the percentage of catalyst. That's what you see on this screen here. So these are the images of a certain screen. So we were able to exceed we were able actually to produce with less than 70% fiber. Well, acceptable levels in daily production should be at about 65-35 up to 70-30. Well, 70-30 is quite difficult to attain actually. It can look dry, but it's considered to be ideal, 70-30. We have the formulations, the indicator screen. It's a dashboard that's quite easy to use. And we want to avoid operational errors. And you can do the programming on the machine itself. So you do the scheduling, the programming, and then you just call them up. You have the pre-formulations set, and you just call them up. You select them, okay? Tag package. I didn't talk about the scale, the weight measurement. So in this case, you register the initial weight of the fiber, catalyst, and resin, and then you compare with the final result. So it compares, and then you have the exact weight of each component in the end. 121 kilos, a roving resin, a little bit of catalyst. As you can see here, the percentage of resin and catalyst is shown in percentage terms as well. And when a pole is fully manufactured, this screen is updated. So when you see the screen updated, you see the results of that pole that you have just manufactured. And it also works for tanks and pipes. So the tag package of the filament. So we have the scale for the resin, the scale for the catalyst, and the scale for the roving. So in the case of roving, I'm going to multiply by the number of boxes. So we see a transfer reel. So whenever we finish a part, the pump will be turned on, and this drum, we call it primary drum, it's going to be filled in. That is the drum that supplies the resin to the dosing system. The resin is automatically dosed in this system. So we don't want the resin and the drum to come to an end midway through production. Let's say you are undergoing with production and the resin comes to an end in the drum, so you have to use a tube and then you have to replace the drum. So this may affect production. You may have to reduce the speed of the machine because of such drum replacement. Somebody has to stop the process and do the drum replacement. Well, when you remove one drum and you place the tube into another, there may be air entrapment. So the pump is operating, but there is no product, just air. So that shouldn't happen. So in this process that we have, the resin will never come to an end midway through production, because if the resin ends, the pump is enabled automatically and it fills in the tube. So you never have to stop your process. There's no rushing around or facing issues midway through production. So we really notice that this process helps a lot. So some of the details of the dosing machine: it's a resin dosing system. We have the catalyst dosing system. We have the scale system to measure the weight. So everything is fed from the drum. So this facility here is in South Africa. Look at this. This facility here is in South Africa. So we have the header here, and in the header we mix both the resin and the catalyst. This is quite interesting as well, because we can keep a uniform temperature of the resin throughout the process. So I'm going to be forced to admit and to confess, I'm not so familiar with the African continent. I know that it may be hot, high temperatures, but I don't know exactly, the different temperatures in the different zones of the African continent. So I don't know if you would need a heater everywhere, but it's important because you have to keep a uniform temperature throughout the process. It's important to do that because ideally we should adjust the flow rate of the resin and the Mach flow rate and never touch this, because we could incur in variations, and this would result in variations on the parts. We don't want to see that happening. We want to see an even result, a very uniform result. So it has to do with the automated process that Rodrigo was talking about. We have this pump here, and it takes the material from a cold drum. Let's say it's 7 a.m., temperature is low, so the pump is going to uptake the material, and then it goes through the passage heater. You increase the temperature by 10 degrees C, and it goes to the homogenizing tank. The homogenizing tank will keep up the temperature at the same level, and it's going to keep the homogeneity of the fillers as well within the mix, because you may have fillers in the resin, and you may have different additives. So you have the anti-flammability additives, for example. In the case of gel coat, you have the UV protection, so everything is pre-homogenized. That's why we have the homogenizing tank. We also manufacture the chuck. The chuck is used for poles and tubes. And the curing stations, that's the next step within the same process. So it comes from the machine, it goes into the curing station. Cure is going to happen so that you can release the product. The next step is the releasing step. In this case, you have two hydraulic pistons. The pistons will push the part from the chuck. Push it out. So we are talking about 50 tons of force. So it's a quite robust piece of equipment. And once the hydraulic pistons do the initial work, we then have the electrical motors to deliver the pole. It's tapered it's a tapered, a piece. So as soon as you push forward like 200 millimeters, then you will have enough force to continue to release them. And then the driller, we may have, drilling areas. So we have to put the crossheads in the case of poles. So, and we have a C and C, an X, Y, and Z, so that you can open windows. Sometimes they're inspection windows, or you have drilling to make, the holes to make. So this is all contemplated in our project. And the sanding machine, at least in the Brazilian market, and it happens in South America as well. For the lighting poles, they have to be sanded so that the outer finish is of high standard, a finish that is closer to that of the steel. So they were sanded, they were filed, sanded, better saying. So the inspection windows that were cut by the equipment, they were a part of the process. They were, cut and painted. And then there is a cutting station for the cutting of the windows, the inspection windows that you see here. So these poles are ready. So we also add the caps on the inspection windows. So we use the trims to produce the caps for the inspection windows. Here we have the dosing system. Let's say you have a manual production. You need half a kilo of resin or half a kilo of Mac. So you can do that. Mac is quite dangerous. So you shouldn't be working with the bottles or the gallons or using funnels. It's a quite simple dosing system. This can be used in different types of plants that work with the composites. We have the mixers as well that we can offer to you, and these are some of the companies to whom we have provided services and materials. Different companies, we produced equipment to be used with polyurethane, pole manufacturers, filter manufacturers as well. Companies that produce accessories and vehicle accessories. We've had, partnership programs with the Owens Corning, that is a fiberglass manufacturer. That's the most widely known, Owens Corning. They really stand out because of their history, right? Great company. So this is the contact information. So should you be willing to get in touch with us, we can provide technical support. You can get in touch with me directly as well. Feel free. That's what I had for you. That's what Fibermaq does. We hope we can, find synergies with the solutions that you're looking for. So we hope we can serve your needs. And as Simone said, we're going to be at FEIPLAR next August this year. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. These details about equipment, when I get in touch with part manufacturers, they always ask for the detailing of equipment. So thank you very much, Christian. A lot of very important information, valuable information, and all the talks were recorded, and all of them will be available in Portuguese and English, and they will circulate with the companies, and I'm sure your talk is extremely valuable. Thank you very much once again, Christian. You close. I think your microphone is off again. Oh, yeah, was muted. It was a fast overview, very brief overview, and didn't get into details. But if you need any further information, just get in touch with us. Contact can be in English. We can have video calls. answer questions. And once again, I thank you.
Obrigada, viu, Christian? Até a
Thank you,
próxima.
Christian. See you next time.
Tchau. Pessoal, então finalizando
So,
muito rápido, que aqui no Brasil é o horário de
closing
almoço, né?
briefly, because it's about lunchtime here in Brazil.
Eu vou falar
And
dois
I will
minutinhos, três, sobre a Fibermaq.
I will give you 3 minutes of information about Fibermaq. As I said, thank you.
A Fibermaq acontece
Fibermaq will happen.
Ajuda dos universitários. Agora foi. A Fibermaq acontece de 25 a
Will be
27 de agosto deste ano.
From 25 to 27 August this year here in São Paulo. If you are from other states or other countries, you can come here. In addition to Fibermaq, there are many interesting places to go here. This is the map of the trade show. We also have this on, in our website, so you can see the plurality of companies exposing their solutions. We are talking about raw materials in general, considering the main materials and accessories. We are talking about molds, equipment, services, in addition to the content of new parts from Brazil and abroad. I briefly mentioned with Rodrigo, but we will have an area with workshops to show how to improve manufacturing. So technologies from other countries to show how to improve the parts we already manufacture. A lot of things for sports and leisure. We will have in the workshops very interesting things. And here you have the whole agenda for 25, 26, and 27. So what are we talking about? We are talking of almost 180 talks from 9 in the morning to 6 p.m. in 25, 26, 27. Everything for free. It's you can come, visit the trade show, and see the talks you want with translation, Portuguese, English. So what we have available in Latin America, which is the focus of our trade show, but always having other countries, like African countries, that can make use of all the technology we present in the show. So you can choose the talks that are more interesting for your company to improve your projects or even to make new projects feasible. I always say that talking to experts is the way to solve the problems you have, because experts passes through different companies, they get in touch with different companies, so they will have a solution. So much so that in our trade show we have an area that is called B2B meetings, which is an area where you can tell us, well, I need an expert in this or that raw material or this or that process. I want to find someone from this company. And we want to increase this, because hardly will a meeting in this trade show will not generate good business. So the organization of Fibermaq is at your disposal. This is our goal, to set these meetings for you. If you want to talk to an expert, a supplier, a company you know with the technology you need, or talking to virtual customers, prospects, we will make this feasible. We are talking about more than 300 companies exposing more than 180 talks, areas of major interest of parts from Brazil and abroad, workshops to improve your line of production with the innovations we are bringing from other countries, and even suppliers, for instance, graphene companies that are in Brazil. we will have interesting novelties and all the part of meetings. So for all of those who attended this webinar, you are included in our mailing, and we will send the communication of our next events. Thank you very much for your participation. This afternoon we will have an academic challenge, and April 8th we have a panel, Market Perspective, and our first edition of Latin American webinar. This will be our next event. Thank you very much.